When I was about 8 years old, I watched John Carpenter's Halloween 1978, and I immediately fell in love with the genre. And as time went on, I watched more and, more and more and more horror movies as the time went on. And I always loved monster movies. I always loved slasher. I always loved thriller. I always loved movies that dealt with monsters and something supernatural. And so I thought to myself, what if I made my own? And that's basically the gist of how Beast of the Cabin was created. The characters, I wanted to make them not human, but still have those human-like features. And that's where the half animal, half hybrid comes in. And one thing I really, really do love about the characters is each character is their own. Lloyd is the strength, the brute, the big, bad, mean guy. Danny is the brains, the intelligent, always one step ahead of everybody. Ricky is the attack, ask questions later. Frankie is the sidekick. Hairlawn is the fastest one of the group. Strix likes to take to the sky when he is doing his thing. Each character, I kind of wanted to have their own specific and different personalities to them. I didn't want them all to feel the same and it's just the same character fighting each other. I didn't want that. I just kept getting messages and more messages asking, hey, will you do more with these characters? And people just loved the character of Lloyd and they wanted more. And so I gave them more. And each film I tried to keep different, unique, and fresh in their own way. I get a question asked a lot if Lloyd is pure evil or broken, and that was always something I was teeter-tottering with. There are hints that he is broken in this film or he's pure evil in that film. And I will say this, you do get that answer in this film. You get your answer if he's pure evil or broken. And one thing with Lloyd is I was never ever going to reveal his backstory. That's just something I didn't want to show people and something that I thought would kind of take away from the character, from being this mean, heartless creature. He definitely has a hatred for Tommy in these earlier films and Tommy's legacy, hence him going after Allison. And one of my favorite parts of the earlier Beast in the Cabin films is Allison and Lloyd's rivalry. They start with Beast in the Cabin 2 and then go through 3 and 4. And that was something I always liked. The character of Allison is one of my personal favorites because I was looking through all the people I could have play the character, and I was looking and I settled on Riley. And I'm really glad I did that because of that second Beast in the Cabin film. Our friendship has kind of gotten bigger and stronger, and I'm glad we did that film together because then her and I would collaborate on not just Beast in the Cabin 3 and 4, but also a bunch of other projects I've worked on. And I'm really glad she does a great job in that performance. She does a great job in that role, and someone I consider a good friend. And I'm glad we did that film. And her character is very much, hey, you killed my father, I'm going to kill you. Now, obviously, in part 4, that ends up backfiring. But I do really, and that was a thing I was thinking about in this last one. It was a thought of bringing her character back. But I thought more and more to myself, Danny wouldn't have turned good had it not been for her character's death. And so I think that was kind of his stepping point to being a good guy. And so that's why I'm not bringing her back for this film. But her and I would like to continue working on projects with her. It'd be a fun thing to do. But yeah. The character of Tommy was actually a very interesting character because I was originally going to have him be the main hero of the first trilogy. But since the actor for Tommy left the first project, it was kind of hard, so I was like, hey, why don't I just introduce Allison here and have Lloyd and her fight throughout parts 2, 3, and 4. Lloyd, I drew inspiration from a ton of different villains. Some of the ones I can name off the top of my head: Vecna, Homelander, Darth Vader, and the obvious Art the Clown, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger. He's kind of a lot of different slashers and a lot of different villains too. Like I said, Homelander and Vecna that aren't just horror villains. And he kind of is he is a very vicious person. He is all about killing Danny in this one, but in the earlier films it was all, humans are heartless, cruel, relentless, vile creatures, and they need to be killed from this earth. Danny was always one of my favorite personal characters. He is very noble, brave, strong, smart, and he was always someone that I knew would be a good opponent for Lloyd. Lloyd is afraid of Danny, and I really like that aspect of him, because it gives something to Lloyd to be, oh crap, he is, strong, possibly stronger than me. I need to watch out. And that's kind of what happens in this next film. Lloyd comes back from the dead, and he's like, not only is he being this even more brute force than he was in any of the previous films, because he is just an absolute machine, but also he's also thinking to himself, hey, this guy chopped my head off and killed me about 2 years ago. I need to rethink, retrace my steps, and I need to, be careful about what I do, because that could end up getting me sent back to the afterlife. And I knew Lloyd was going to, and one of my favorite aspects is Lloyd's henchmen, the alligators, is something that was an idea I had. And in some versions of the script, it wasn't gators. It was like kangaroos and rhinos and stuff like that. But I knew making them alligators would mean more to Danny, because Lloyd would be like, hey, you chopped my head off. You thought you could say goodbye? No, I'm using your own species against you as a way to mess with you and break your spirit. And I'm going to tear you and your friends apart one by one. And that kind of shows that Lloyd is not playing around this time. He's a lot meaner, vile in this film than he ever was before, and he clearly has a motive here. He 100% has the motive of getting revenge on Danny, not just killing him, but making him suffer for what Danny did to him in Beast in the Cabin 6. Strix and Hairlawn do get a lot more stuff to do in Part 8. I got a lot of messages and stuff, comments and stuff saying Strix should do more. Where's Strix? And now they're going to get more Strix. And he definitely has a very noble and brave moment in this film. Same with Hairlawn too. Same with all of them, really. They really do have their own time to shine in this film. And Ricky gets a redemption in this film. Him and Danny are working together, and that was another thing I was teeter-tottering with. I was debating on whether or not I wanted Ricky to come back and turn good, because him and Danny have never liked each other, and so to have them working together is kind of another full circle moment. These guys went from not liking each other, wanting to rip each other apart, to be good friends. And where their story goes in this film is really something great, and I really hope people enjoy that. Hairlawn and Danny do have a nice one-on-one in this film, and it kind of patches their rivalry in this film. And it kind of is a bittersweet moment, and I'm really excited for people to look at that scene and then the next scene. And this film is very, very heartbreaking, and very, very emotional and sad. It's sad, emotional, satisfying. I remember reading the script and being like, this is going to tear people apart. This is going to make some people sad. I knew it would be a satisfying ending for sure, but it would be a very, very emotional movie. Like I said, Danny being Lloyd's main adversary was always something I'd planned, and there's a reason he's not in Beast in the Cabin 3. There's a reason. If you look at Beast in the Cabin 4, Allison knows where Lloyd's hiding. And how do you think she finds out about that? Through Danny. You don't see it in this film, but that's kind of just the thing I wanted to give you guys in this documentary. But yeah, the only character not returning is Frankie. One, because simply I can't find the mask, and two, I think it would be just pointless bringing all the animal characters back, because then it would prove that they wouldn't like really die. None of them would really die. The reason Ricky returns is because Lloyd sends him back, and Lloyd has the power to come back to Earth, and the alligators, they aren't dead. They have the ability to teleport between the afterlife and the real world, and so they're not dead. And so Lloyd kind of was waiting for the perfect time to strike, and so that's one thing about Lloyd. He's smarter in this film. He's learned from his mistakes, and he's not going to let Danny chop off his head again. I knew I was going to play Lloyd, and I knew I was going to play most of the animal characters, and I love it. I love getting to explore each character and like each personality to them, and it was always a real fun thing to do with them. You really get to see each of them grow and improve as the series goes on and on. Some characters have redemption, some characters don't. Some characters die, and some characters live on, and they get redeemed in those. And it's like this film is very much a story about coming full circle with Danny, and him going from that villain to, in part 2, 3, and 4, to kind of becoming the hero in parts 5 through 8. And it was always something I knew was going to happen. I knew Lloyd and Danny would be rivals from the beginning. Before I made Beast in the Cabin 1, because I had made them into like short little books. In the books, they are mortal enemies. And I knew I was going to carry that aspect from the books to the films. And I knew when making Beast in the Cabin 1, I had an idea of how the story would end. It would just be a matter of, okay, what do I need to do to get there, and how long will it take me to get there? The kills aren't as graphic in this film as they were in past films. In past films, they did get pretty bloody and pretty crazy and ruthless, but in this film, they're more about emotional level. Because I said this before, not everybody makes it out of this film. Every single person has their time to shine, like I mentioned. Essentially every character has their own one-on-one with Lloyd in some way, shape, and form. And the deaths in here are emotional. They're not more graphic, but they're still crazy and wild, but they're not like bloody graphic as some of the other ones were. Ricky isn't necessarily a good guy in this film. He's not really a bad guy either. He's kind of in between. He's willing to work with Danny to defeat. There's a line in this film that he says, "Why would I work for the person who killed me?" And so he does not want to work with Lloyd any longer. He's cut that bridge. He's willing to work with Danny, but his progression in the film is very, very, very great. And so towards later in the film, he does work to being a good guy and keep on working and working. Same with Hairlawn too. Hairlawn is still recovering from, getting betrayed by his father and almost becoming a human, and being saved by Danny, and he's still processing that. And so, yeah, it's very fun to see what happens with those two characters. With Strix, he's kind of like the guy who kind of want to make peace. And he's like, hey, let's not fight. He's a lover, not a fighter. And so that was in this film, he does kind of bring out that fighter in him that he's always had. The Gators are very, very vicious. They are very much, like I said, Lloyd is kind of like the Vecna. And then these Gators are kind of like his Demogorgons, essentially. They are very incredibly fast, especially when they're crawling on all fours, and you do see that a lot. You did see that with Hairlawn in Beast in the Cabin 5 a little bit, and you see it a lot with the Gators in here. and they are just machines. They are brutal, vicious, everything. Having Lloyd his design, each character design is very different from each film. With Lloyd, he gets more bloody and dirty and dirty and more dirty. And then in this film, you see his side face. His face is damaged and it's dirty and it's rusty. And it was I knew Lloyd would have a face change in this film because he's been dead for 2 years. He was going to look decrepit and deceased. And so I kind of wanted to have that change. And he also looks meaner. And also, not only does that physically change, but he changes in character. He's not playing around. Like I said, he's not playing around this time. And Danny, too, he doesn't have much character change, but in terms of design, but he has changed. All these characters have changed a lot in the series as the series goes on. And I am really, really looking forward to see how you guys see each character has changed in this next film, and this final goodbye, and this very last hurrah of the series. And I have said before, I have thought about doing a prequel series with Lloyd, exploring his first years of killing. So that's still an idea I'm going through. And who knows, you could get more Lloyd the Fox sooner than you expect. But it was always, when I made Beast in the Cabin 1, I was I knew how the series would end, and I knew it would be sad. I knew it would be satisfying, but also emotional. It's sad to say goodbye to these characters that I've spent 5 years with, because I made them into books, and I've spent this long time with these characters, and I didn't bring them into film till 2023, and it's emotional to say goodbye to these characters, and I think fans are really going to love this final chapter. And I would encourage those to rewatch the past films to get ready for this big finale, because it all ties everything together. Every character, every story, every single thing comes full circle in this final film, and I cannot wait for you to watch it this Friday.